Shalom Aleichem and welcome to Online Smicha. One of the important things every household remembers to do before Pesach is, of course, Bedikas Chometz, beer Chometz, but then there is the takana of Mechiras Chometz, making sure that the Chometz gets sold. Now, there is a mucker, which Rav Shlomo Kluger brings, that he could prove from the Gemara and Pesachim Daf Yud Gimel, that this concept of Mechiras Chometz already is even in times of the Gemara. But Lapayel, we attribute it to later times, the exact takana of Mechiras Chometz, to sell the Chometz to the Goy and make sure that there is no connection with the Yidden, and the Chometz shouldn't be any chashash bal yirah bal yamatzah. Of course, we know how it's done. There are so many different customs and so many different ways. It's a complicated halacha. And therefore, even though originally, and perhaps best would be, if a person would do it himself, each person goes to a Goy and sells himself the chometz, and perhaps, as in some svarim it says, mitzvah boy yosim b'shluchei, don't make any messengers to do it on your behalf. Do it, take care of it yourself. Nevertheless, over the times it became that since it's a very complicated halacha, very few people know all the dinim, how you get rid of your chometz and how you make the kinyanim, the proper exchange, the proper sale, purchase, etc. So therefore, the custom became that you go to a Rav, a Yidei Halacha, and he does it for you. Now, it says in Svarim that it's customary, and this is very common, that you pay the Rav for what he's doing, for his work, and it's not only because he's putting in time and effort and he's your agent. It actually says in some Svarim a very important halachic reason for this, and that is, it looks a little funny. How is it that a person goes to the Rav and it makes him his agent to sell the chametz for him on his behalf, and he tells him everywhere there's chametz, he writes in the star everywhere there's chametz, and he may be doing this a week or two before Pesach. During the next week or two before Pesach, he's still buying more stuff, and he might be putting it in other areas. Isn't that funny? You just signed off what you're giving away, and there might be some more stuff that you didn't have it written in the Shtar Mechira yet. And it wasn't on your mind that you're even going to get this. So how does that work? So therefore, it is said that perhaps by giving the Rav some money for doing his job, that will help that issue. Why? Because there is a difference of just giving somebody money as a nice gesture for what he helped you out. He's your agent to sell the chametz, or by paying him for what he does, he becomes a poyel, a worker. What does that change? In Choshen Mishpat Siman Reish Tes, it says that a person could accept upon himself some sort of shibud, a shibud guf, even for something shaloi bala elam. I could take upon myself to be responsible even for something that's right now not here, not available. But that's what I was ready and aware, and I took it upon myself. That's if the person pays in and he becomes under the category of a payel, a worker. He could already accept the responsibilities to sell even chametz shaloi b'loilam, because that's what a payel is able to do. So you go to a Rav and you give him the chametz to sell. So actually in Hayoim Yoim it is brought that the Beis Harav, it's not that you make the Rav the agent to sell your chametz, you actually sell the chametz to the Rav, and the Rav sells it. But common practice is you make a shtar harsha. Shtar harsha is a sign an agreement as he should be your agent to sell the chametz. Typically, what you know, if you go to the Rav to do this, the Rav will ask you to sign some documents. They're giving him the permission. The Rav will ask you to do a kinyan, that different ways how to do the kinyan. Pick up a gartel, pick up a garment, pick up something that becomes a kinyan, and this transfer, this deal that he should be your agent is final. So what happens if a person cannot make it to the Rav? He's out of town, or he just realized he didn't sell the chametz yet, or anything like that. Does he really have to be standing in front of the Rav to make this kinyan? So the answer is, obviously it's best, or by the way, the shaila is obvious today, to sign on any online petition, any online agreement that the Rav should be your agent. So because in the Hilchas Shlichus, we find that the Rambam says, and many other poskim paskin, that you don't need to make a kinyan, an official kinyan, to appoint somebody a shliach. Therefore, obviously it's best, because it looks more final, more complete when there is a kinyan. Obviously, it's best for the person who appoints an agent to make a kinyan. But if you can't, it doesn't mean that he's not your shliach. He could still do it. So to go to the Rav would be better. To sign a petition online or anything like that, it also could appoint the person as a shliach even without a kinyan. It's interesting to note that to do this, they say even the Chazon Ish used to sell his chometz to more than one Rav. It doesn't mean that by selling it to one Rav and then going to the second one, you're canceling them both out. Other poskim said that not necessarily the more the better, but there's no big deal. There's nothing wrong if you would sell chometz to two rabbanim just to make sure that they both did the right thing. They sold the chometz properly. An interesting letter from the Rebbe is mentioned. How is it that we sell chometz, and sometimes some people, community leaders, will on behalf of their congregants, they would go and sell their chometz, even not knowing, even though those people didn't actually come over to ask them, but because of the rule of Zachin La'adam Shalei B'fanav, you could do something in merit for people, even if they don't appoint them. Everybody would like to do a mitzvah. Everybody would like to be saved from Navera. They don't know that. They don't know about that yet. So therefore, based on that halacha, you could sell somebody else's chametz for him. And so the Rebbe has a beautiful letter where somebody asked the Rebbe, "Hayatachin, that makes sense when 5 minutes later or a day or two later, that same guy who you sold his chametz, it's a joke because he's doing business with chametz. Why would it make sense to do so?" And the Rebbe gives a bunch of answers, and basically one beautiful point of it. And to save this person from 1 minute of Bal Yirah, Bal Yamatz, it's not worth it. Until he gets to Chas v'Shalom, do what he has to do, even for just that one moment, it's good enough. So, anyways, this is the rule. This is the takana of going to the Rav and sell the chametz, either as your agent or give him over the chametz, sell him the chametz, and then he does the transfer with the guy, and he as a mumcha will do the right thing.